So you got your car all epoxy primed, sandblasted, and prepped, but you got to get to the underside of the car. You have a couple choices: lift the way up on jack stands, roll around on your back, wear a lot of paint and dirt and grit. Well, I really don't like doing that, and I guess maybe I'm just getting too old for that. So I made or created a little system here. Bolts on pretty quickly, probably less than 10 minutes to install. Uses a hydraulic cylinder, pump it up, flip this thing up on its side. It'll clear my low ceiling that I have here in my garage, and I get all the underbody work done. So that's one of your choices. But regardless how you're gonna go about it, getting anything where you can get access to it, I'm still gonna show you prepping the underbody and getting things ready to paint and things you might wanna know before you get into that. So first things first, let's get my amazing car flipper installed on the Mockingbird. And what we're talking about is this pile of stuff right here. You've got a rear floor support, body support, same as the front, hydraulic cylinder mount and everything. Put that on there. The wheels are optional. I added that later with the idea is we want to roll this around. I really don't love the wheels, but I might use them again because, again, I'm working with limited space here in this garage, and moving the car around makes my life a little bit easier, only because I have just too much chaos going on sometimes. But either way, we're going to get this put on to the body. It mounts here to the bumper mounting holes on the rear of the car, so it leaves the whole underbody completely open. And on the front, those big ears there mount where the subframe mounts that attaches to the firewall. Simple as that. Bolt those on, put the 2 pivot bolts in this thing, install the cylinder, and you're good to go. Simple as that, all installed and ready to go. Probably about 8 to 10 minutes. I didn't really time it, but it goes pretty quick. You just saw just 1, 2 bolts, assemble a pivot bolt, put the top bolt there, bottom bolt in our lift cylinder, which is the same as you probably have on your engine hoist. Most standard cherry pickers, that's the size cylinder that I used. I bought a new one, I think from Harbor Freight back in the day. I think it cost me 40 bucks, so not horribly expensive. The rear, 4 bolts, nuts through the bumper mounting hardware right there, put right through the back of the tail panel. That leaves the whole underbody completely exposed. Back here, it's just a hinge. That's all it is, a pivot, no cylinder. When I originally drew this up, I was gonna run dual cylinders and realized it was overkill. 1 cylinder was plenty of lifting power and support to get this body to flip up on its side. Well, next thing I have to work on getting my body cart out from underneath that. Won't quite lift it up off that because that driver's side rocker panel stays almost on the floor, so I don't get any height out of that side. It actually kind of stays about the same height. So I need to get that lifted up, get that body cart out of there, and then I'll show you how this thing works. Okay, body cart has been removed, ready to flip this thing on its side. You guys can check out what it looks like on the bottom. So there you have it. The Mockingbird has been flipped. So I guess I flipped the bird. Nonetheless, here's what it looks like underneath the car. You can see how this is going to make this a lot easier to, I guess, get to all the details you need to take care of. Some of them being is all that black EDP paint. I don't strip it off the underbody. It does okay, but I definitely need to scuff all of it, remove any remaining stickers that still may be on it because I didn't do that yet. So that's going to have to be addressed and taken care of. Then some of the welds here, they just need cleaned up a little bit of dressing on some of the welds. They don't have any, poking through there like that. And then let's see what else we have to take care of. Oh, yeah, I still need to weld the frame rail here completely to the floor pan. I find it's a whole lot easier here instead of laying on my back and eating welding slag and all that stuff. So you got to do both of these. This is one of the things that, or a few of the things that we're going to take care of while sitting up here on the side. And of course, look at this, more sand falling out of it. Again, that's one of the downfalls of media blasting, but I still think it's a necessary evil, and I think I can deal with it, and I'm okay with that. And then convertibles, you can sneak in here a little bit tighter. But a coupe, yeah, you got to move it further away from the wall. It'll be smacking off the door and everything. But we cleared everything, not by much, but we definitely cleared. And look, there's some more sand poking through and popping out. So we'll probably be using the old DRD, shop vac, whatever, and continuously drawing sand out of this thing probably until we're done getting the car back on the road and giving it back to the owner. So nonetheless, let's get into probably doing some welding, cleaning up some welds. Then we're going to scuff the underbody and get it ready for paint. All right, now we've got all the welds. Anything that was welded, it had a wire brush. I like sandblasting it, but it's just too messy. So wire brush all where the welds were done. Buffed off all these ones, leveled them off, look a whole lot better. Now, really the next thing we're kind of into is scuffing all this black EDP paint with a Scotch-Brite pad. And what we're going to do then is put an epoxy primer on the entire bottom of the car. That'll seal everything up really good. All the welds, any kind of repair, any place where the surface has been broke to help prevent, corrosion or really slow down the rusting issues. Took care of all the missing welds here. Remember, we had these welds I did not do. They're in place now, looks really good. So I'm gonna get into doing some buffing or the scuffing up with the Scotch-Brite pad. Something else that I want to show you here too before we get too carried away. Something else we can also do to really make this thing look real nice is when I weld everything together, sometimes the gap isn't always pulled up as close as you'd like it to be. Wouldn't take much, just take the hammer here and watch this gap, it'll actually close up. It looks a whole lot better that way. It also helps keep dirt out of that seam. Now this is the factory seam between the rocker panel. That was just the floor pan that I attached to it. You get that thing and pull up a little tighter, it looks a lot better when it's all done here, so. Now you can do that to all the seams, like where the fender well lines up with the trunk floor, where the quarter panels actually tie up here to the inner wheel wells and stuff like that. If it's not pulled up tight, you can go ahead and just smack a few times with the hammer. And like I said, something you can do to make it look just a little better. So next thing here, get this thing all scuffed up, wiped down, and put some epoxy on. Oh, something else that I wanted to mention. I'm only going to focus from where the toe board here, firewall section, back. I'm not going to worry about the front of the car yet at this point, because I'll put it back down, pull the car flipper off, and paint from there up. So I actually take the tape and paint around that brace, or tape off around that brace right along the firewall, and then paint from there forward. So right now I'm going to focus on just getting the underbody scuffed and put in gray epoxy primer. This is the most fun you'll never have. Okay, everything's all scuffed down. Next step, a little bit of wax and grease removal. Wipe it on with one rag and wipe it off with the other. You get the idea. Wipe the whole thing down so there's any greasy fingerprints or anything left from sanding and scuffing and cleaning and all the above. That's what we're going to get rid of. So I'll get all this wiped down. And we'll get a coat of epoxy put on this here right quick. There, got the primer all mixed up in the gun, ready to go. Get masked up, get a coat of epoxy on this, then move on to the next step of Project Mockingbird. About you, that looks a whole lot better. All one solid color gray. No more funky welds, black spots, stickers, or anything. It's all nice and even. I didn't put a whole lot of paint where the gas tank goes. I just wanted some kind of a coating to cover up all the bare metal and get a nice even base to put my next coat on. So I'm going to do 60% chassis black on this. I'm not going to do any undercoating. I'm not a big fan of undercoating, but we got to let this stuff dry for a while, because the next step is you always put primer on first, then you come back and do your seam sealing. I'll do around the wheel wells, trunk drop-offs, inside of the lip there for the quarter panels, and that's about it. But I need to wait for the paint to dry, then we'll come back and hit this with some black paint. Project Mockingbird, well, I flipped them off, right? Flipped up on its side. You can see the advantage of this. Trying to spray paint that on your back, it can be done. I've done cars that way, but I'd rather not. I have the diagram for these. If you'd like to have your own car flipper or fabricate one, free directions. I'll show them here on the video here. There's 4 slides. Somebody helped me reprint those instead of the napkin and graph paper that I originally drew it up on. Actually makes it look official in engineering. And of course, use these at your own risk. The good, the bad, desirable results or undesirable or accidents, that's on you. It's for free, right? Anyway, those disclaimers, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, I'm going to let that cure up. You know, the next step, I'm going to work on getting some more of this stuff prepped. Got the axle in primer, subframes in primer, work on painting some of this stuff black. I don't know if I think that's all that exciting, but it's a necessary evil to get to the finish line on Project Mockingbird. And of course, I'll keep on plugging away, grab the camera, and hope to see you guys next time.